WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Enough is enough, and it's time for a change!
I can't believe I'm putting my voice to this.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
Thank you for your irrelevant opinion.
And now, here's your host of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon.
The first thing you need to do is to tell these people to shut up if you want to hear what I got to say. I'm a broadcast journalist. I have a right to my opinion.
Oh, son of a...
I am the best on this microphone, in that ring, even in commentary.
That's the sound of the bell, and that means we are off. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you. Alone with all my friends, apparently. Nick Cataldi pushing the buttons, turning the dials, cheering himself as always. And that's it.
That wasn't me.
That wasn't you?
No, it was somebody else who sounded like me. But it's nice to know somebody cares.
Like Randy Orton, some of the voices in your head, apparently. Well, where to start? Where to start? There's I don't know. I'm a little bit disgusted this week with everything going on. In case you didn't know, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon are on vacation. I think they mentioned it about 38 different times on Monday Night Raw this past week.
Where'd they go, to Croydon?
I don't know where they went. Doesn't really matter where they went, really. I mean, the big story in WWE, oh, by the way, there's a pay-per-view coming up a week from tomorrow, but we're instead going to worry about which of the three different heel authority figures is in charge of Monday Night Raw, with Triple H and Stephanie being absent. Once again, putting the focus on a non-wrestler in a wrestling organization. Go figure. Good job, Vince. Way to be. Oh, man. TNA, they're not exactly doing better. We'll get more into them in a little bit, but they're doing some quasi-interesting things, but going about it in the least interesting way possible between the title tournament and setting up for their Turning Point Impact this coming Thursday. We'll get more into that coming up a little bit later in this 3/4 of an hour, as we'll be with you until 12:45. We've got high school playoff football action, Trenton and South Brunswick. Chris Ermer, he'll bring the action to you coming up at about 12:45. I guess we'll start off with, since I mentioned it last week, and there was a lot of backlash on the internet from it. Chris Hero getting released from WWE, or as he was known in WWE, Cassius Ohno. Well, he finally got the chance to speak out about it, and he addressed being released from his WWE developmental contract in a Facebook post this past Monday, and, well, I'll read the quote and everything right here. Maybe you've heard, maybe you've not heard. Last Friday, my contract with WWE was terminated. Man, terminated sounds so harsh, right? To me, it conjures up images of post-apocalyptic wars with robots, machine guns, and atomic bombs. No, thank you. Merriam-Webster defines terminate as to come to an end in time. Okay, that's a little less dramatic. I can handle that. For the last 21 months, I've lived in Florida as part of WWE's developmental system. That time has now come to an end. There are a lot of ways I can look at this, and honestly, it won't serve me at all to be anything but positive and optimistic. I could sulk, I could point fingers, I could feel sorry for myself, or I could channel all my energy into getting back out there, kicking some ass, and taking things to the next level. Once upon a time, a close friend of mine named Claudio Castagnoli was released from WWE. Another good friend, Colt Cabana, got his walking papers. The best in the world, Bryan Danielson, had his contract terminated twice. These three guys are all crazy talented and, on all accounts, are doing rather well for themselves right now, eh? I'm leaving WWE on good terms, so if it's meant to be, I'm sure. Yeah, if it's meant to be, I'm sure I'll be back. If it's not meant to be, I can guarantee you that I will still be trotting all over the globe doing what I love and what I'm damn good at the highest level possible.
Why do you think they terminated his contract? Seriously.
Well, I don't know. I'm not exactly making the decisions down there, but I mean, there were rumors of him not committing to like a weight training program to build up in size, get a little bit more toned. But I mean, there are lots of guys who aren't exactly in the greatest of shape on the roster, so who knows? Anyway, he goes on to say, how will my career unfold? There's no telling at this moment, and that can be scary. I can assure you, though, that I'm genuinely excited to take things into my hands and get back out there. There are sights that I've not seen in the last 2 years, friends I've not spent time with, and fans I've not performed in front of. How long has it been since a Hip Hop Thursday? Oh, dear. There are people I'm dying to work with. I have ideas that are practically begging to surface. I say, let's get to it. The response I've gotten from all this hullabaloo has literally overwhelmed me, so much so that I'm just now getting back to some people 2-3 days after they'd reached out. It's important to me that I let you all know how much this has meant to me, whether it was a tweet, an email, Facebook message, text, call, or voicemail. Your support means the world to me. It would have been incredibly easy to go to a dark place and succumb to negative thoughts and energy. Your love has kept my spirits high, and again, I reiterate, I'm absolutely thrilled to get back in the mix. I think this next line he's throwing out there specifically to listeners like Extreme Kyle out there. I do have a favor I'd like to ask of you. When things happen that we don't like, it's our instinct to look for answers. We get sad, we get mad. In this situation, there's nothing to be sad about. And rather than being angry about what has happened, I want you all to be happy about what's going to happen. I will be back with a vengeance, I assure you. The best way to support me is with positive energy. Also, WWE and NXT loaded with talented guys and girls. There's an overabundance of talent at that performance center that inspires me, some of which you've not even seen yet. These folks need your support just like I do, so make sure your voices are heard. To wrap this up, I'd like everyone to know that I loved my experience here. I've made so many great friends. I have memories that will last a lifetime. I've learned so much, not just about professional wrestling, but I've discovered a lot about myself. I've gained a lot of new fans, and I hope you will all follow me on this new journey. If you wish to support me directly, there are a plethora of ways to do so. You can continue to follow and interact with me on Twitter and Facebook. You can come watch me do what I love to do live and in living color. You can pick up some brand new Chris Hero merchandise in person or online. Whether it's in Philly, Oberhausen, Germany, Los Angeles, Austin, Texas, London, Tokyo, Chicago, or Toronto, you will see me and I will see you soon, my friends. Thank you for your support. So Chris Hero, not exactly reacting as negatively as a lot of his fans are to being released by WWE Developmental. It's a good thing to see. At least I think so.
Are you going to terminate my contract?
Not at this time.
Oh, thanks. If you do, can I like have a big write like that and a write up like that and just sort of go on forever
and talk about it afterward?
I get fired from my job. I go, yeah, okay, sure.
I was going to say, in your case, the best you'll get is the Vince McMahon sounder we've got in there going, "You're fired."
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
Heard that a few times.
Yeah, sure.
Between that and Mr. Spacely and the Jetsons, I'm sure you've heard.
Yes. Jetson, you're fired.
And then brought back the next week.
Well, yes. Of course.
It's usually how those things go. But
on television.
On television.
Not in real
exactly.
life.
Not in real life, no. Can't imagine anybody being fired and brought back numerous times.
No.
Well, I mean, once, okay, maybe. But any more than that, no, not so much.
Right.
All right, let's take you to Monday Night Raw this past, obviously, Monday. First time we saw Paul Heyman in a while. There's something to talk about. He was in the ring with Curtis Axel. He was rather beaten up in a wheelchair. His leg was in a brace. He had been receiving alternative medicine over in Europe, and since WWE was in Manchester, England, it seemed like the perfect time for Paul Heyman to resurface, albeit rather disheveled. And, well, he got the chance to interact with the Manchester crowd and talk about his experience following Hell in a Cell in person in the WWE ring.
This was done to me by your hero, CM Punk. Tickles the fancy of your obviously limited imaginations, but I assure you, CM Punk could never have done this to me all by himself. Punk was never a match one-on-one for Paul Heyman. CM Punk had a whole lot of help. Like, just for example, that big, ugly dummy Ryback. I took nothing. I took Ryback under my wing Ryback. I offered Ryback a chance to be a Paul Heyman guy. Thank God he never accepted. And what does Ryback do? Ryback assures me, he guarantees me that his mantra in life is feed me more. But we all found out when Ryback went one-on-one with CM Punk, Ryback was biting off a whole lot more than he could ever chew. But I don't just blame Ryback. I don't just blame CM Punk. No, most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, I blame each and every one of you. You're the ones that encourage CM Punk to climb to the top of that cell and lay this beating down upon an innocent father of two small children. You're the ones that cheered CM Punk to giving me this beating. This is all your fault. Which is why I have left my first-class accommodations seeking alternative medical treatments in Europe to go slumming with the working-class denizens of the ghetto known as Manchester. I didn't come here tonight for you to revel in the brilliance of my prose. I came here tonight because I needed a room full of witnesses who could testify to the fact that I went public with my intentions, which are these. Ladies and gentlemen, I, Paul Heyman, shall return with a vengeance. And I am going to hover over CM Punk like a sword of Damocles. And I will drive the blade of my sword through the heart of your...
Damocles didn't have to mess with CM Punk. Speaking of a return for vengeance.
And CM Punk certainly did get that. Oh, yes, he did. He ended up going into the ring, dismissing of Curtis Axel rather quickly, and hit Heyman a few more times with a kendo stick that happened to be strategically placed underneath the ring. Go figure. All right, we'll go ahead and get to the phones. We've had Ed been hanging on, Ed the showstopper, Ed from Northeast Philly. Ed, what's going on? We got you up here?
I think we lost him.
Sometimes that happens. All right, Ed, go ahead and try back. We'll get you coming up a little bit later. Now, something that I'm kind of intrigued by. Oh man, well, I shouldn't say intrigued, but I guess I don't even know what word I want to use for it. This upcoming Raw, which they've seemed to do more promoting of that than they have the Survivor Series pay-per-view coming up, because WWE is going to be in Nashville, Tennessee. They're declaring that this Monday, Raw goes country. And I don't know exactly. I mean, obviously they're going a country music stance. So, I don't know. I thought to have a little bit of fun with it, I don't know. We're going to lead to our first commercial break here with a theme. We're going to go to... We're going to go to track 3 coming up here in a sec, Nick. We'll play that, fade out, and then go to the break. But some notable country wrestling themes in history. Of course, this one, you remember it from the 80s and pretty much used into the 90s with the Godwins. But initially it was Hilbilly Jim, Don't Go Messing with a Country Boy.
Fill my bottle for my moonshine spill. My first meal was the best you killed.
6 feet tall and a man among men. Now love my work. I said, are you ready for the Survivor Series?
What a joke.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your host, Fearon Derry.
This whole thing is embarrassing. It really is.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Yep, Survivor Series in 8 days. Next week I'll have a pre-recorded prediction certain to go wrong as I won't be here live in studio. In fact, I'll be down in sunny Florida. So I'll be back live in 2 weeks to recap everything going on with Survivor Series. So far, 3 matches set up for the supposedly bigger pay-per-view, one of the bigger pay-per-views of the year. You've got CM Punk teaming up with Daniel Bryan to take on Eric Rowan and Luke Harper of the Wyatt family. And then you've got the 2 big title matches that don't seem to be that big. John Cena defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Alberto Del Rio. Cena beat him with 1 arm last month at Hell in a Cell. So now with 2 arms, I don't know how this is going to be much more of a challenge. And WWE hasn't done a good job of making us believe that there's any kind of challenge. So they'll probably, by making Alberto Del Rio it seem like he's not going to win at all, they're probably going to end up having him beat Cena just to swerve everybody. If that's the case, then maybe Vince Russo's back working for McMahon. Who knows? And then Randy Orton defending the WWE Championship against The Big Show. Not really sure why. I don't know. I mean, he's a fan favorite, but he's not exactly garnering, I need to throw down $50 to see this pay-per-view for him challenging. I don't know. I don't think he really has that kind of buzz anymore. Anyway, all right, we got the phones going here. Let's get Ed from the Northeast up. Ed, what's going on? Seem to be having all kinds of issues today here. Okay. Oh, there we go.
Lost him.
All right.
Jeez. Oh.
Maybe that termination might be coming soon. No.
It's not my fault, Honestly, this is not my fault. Don't look at me like I caught that look. I turned around to catch him making that, yeah, sure it isn't, Nick. It's not my fault this time.
It's amazing. It's amazing
Trust
how...
me, Dad.
It's not what's said. It's apparently what isn't said that counts.
Yes.
All right, let's talk TNA Impact. I mentioned the title tournament earlier. So far, one of the quarterfinal matches have already occurred, and we've got another one going on, or at least that went on this past Thursday on Impact, and that was, of course, Kurt Angle and Austin Aries. It was decided by the Wheel of Dixie to be a submission match, and we've got the final moments of that match right here.
Kurt Angle's so powerful. The longer the match goes on, the more strength he builds up.
Precarious position now for both men as Aries tries to break the grip of Angle and actually does. That surprises me.
Yeah, that surprised me also, but...
But look at how quickly Angle reacts. Again, shrugged off. That time by Aries.
Yeah, but Kurt landed on the back of his head. That back of the head and that neck area Aries was working on earlier. And with the history of Kurt Angle's neck, as you pointed out earlier, Kurt might not be moving here.
Aries fighting through the pain. You saw him reach down and grab the ankle. Oh, went 450 and got a bad landing again on the ankle by Aries. Kurt slides in from behind. Oh. Aries, amazing resiliency.
Yeah, he's got great aptitude to pull back into that front face lock, which could get him his last chance to or to frame buster, but he's in trouble. Or maybe not.
Well, he was able to come up with that desperation arm drag. But then immediately again, you see that Aries favors the ankle, and that time Kurt sidestepped him. And Aries goes shoulder first into the steel. Kurt motioning up to Bobby Roode. And
wow, look at this.
How about this?
That's a message towards Roode.
Because that's Bobby Roode's finisher. That's the crossface applied. Hey, how about that? Angle gets the submission win. Your winner.
Wow. message. That was impressive. Beat the man with Rouge hold. Kurt Angle is dancing.
Incredible victory for the Olympic gold medalist. And with the win, Austin Aries out of the tournament. Kurt Angle headed to the semifinals.
So there you have it, Kurt Angle in the semifinals of the title tournament. And 2 matches, the other 2 quarterfinal matches set up for this coming Thursday on Impact, the Turning Point edition of Impact. And the Wheel of Dixie, it was at it again. You've got James Storm and Bobby Roode, beer money colliding, or beer money exploding, I guess. The former partners going at it in a bull rope match. That's going to be one of the first-round matchups, and the winner of that match will take on Jeff Hardy in the semifinals. The other quarterfinal match, Samoa Joe against Magnus. That's going to be a Falls Count Anywhere match, and the winner of that will take on the aforementioned Kurt Angle. All right, let's go ahead. I think third time should hopefully be a charm here. Let's go ahead and get Ed from the Northeast up here. Ed, you there?
I'm here.
There we go. We got you. Third time is indeed a charm. What's going on, Ed?
SmackDown's here in Philly, January 6th.
Oh, right after the New Year. Okay. That would be a Tuesday evening, I believe they usually do those, right?
Tickets go on sale, I think, next week.
All righty. Speaking of tickets on sale, for those who... Oh, good.
Ron White has a show tonight with Chris Hero, Hurricane Helson, and ICP.
Yeah, that should be rather interesting, especially given the aforementioned Chris Hero now being out and about, as I read the statement a little bit earlier.
Impact's Baltimore show was canceled for November 21st.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of those cancellations as they're making their way back to the Impact Zone down in Orlando to tape a lot of their Impacts. Now they're kind of contracting.
Hopefully Philly's not canceled.
Well, Philly hasn't been canceled, but what they did is, as opposed to making it an Impact taping, it is just a live house show event that they've moved forward one night to the following night. I believe that's December 27th is when they have Impact Wrestling in Philly, but will not be a TV taping anymore.
Yes.
Interesting facts thrown out there.
About AJ Lee?
Yes, I was actually going to talk about that in the news and notes coming up, but since you brought it up, I'll mention it now. AJ Lee collapsing at a live WWE event. She collapsed during the live event match yesterday against Brie Bella over in London. She was working a match, and she just collapsed and was helped backstage, the match simply being called off. TMZ reporting that dehydration believed to be the cause of the collapse. WWE.com having a brief statement on the collapse. Tonight in London, WWE diva AJ Lee briefly fainted during a match with Brie Bella due to dehydration. She is currently being evaluated by WWE medical staff. She has assured her coworkers that she is fine. So that's good news to hear, and I'm sure Lucas the intern somewhere is breathing a huge sigh of relief.
That's about it. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving. I'll be back after Thanksgiving. Believe me, I have no intention of it. Thanks so much for the call, Ed. Man, this show is just flying by. We've got some other news and notes, another injury to talk about, The Rock in yet another movie, and a longtime rival of Jerry the King Lawler, who was thought to be dead, might actually not be. We'll talk about that coming up, but first, yes, another country theme to get people in the mood for Raw going country this Monday, since it's going to be held in Nashville, Tennessee, and I think somewhere Wild Bill Melody's rolling over in his grave. I can't say as I blame you, buddy. All right, next up here, I'm sure you remember this from 2007, Jesse and Festus. How about a little biscuits and gravy? I'm kind of hungry, too.
Biscuits and gravy made me a man. Oh, biscuits and gravy made me all that I am. Ain't no ham and egg, something you've always been.
Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, November 16. On this date in 1994, WCW held its Clash of the Champions 29 Supercard. In the main event, Dave Sullivan, Hulk Hogan, and Sting defeated Avalanche, Kevin Sullivan, and The Butcher in a 6-man tag team match. On this date in 2009, TNA Impact was taped in Orlando, Florida. In the main event, Kurt Angle defeated Dr. Stevie and Raven in a handicap tag team match. On this date in 2003, WWE held its Survivor Series pay-per-view. In the main event, Goldberg pinned Triple H to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. This has been Today in Wrestling History, November 16.
This is Jim the Anvil Neidhart of the Heart Station, and you're listening to Pro Wrestling Weekly with Fearon Derry on 1490 WBCB, baby. Yeah!
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you alongside Nick Cataldi, pushing the buttons, turning the dials.
Yay!
That mystery guy again, cheering himself or cheering for you. You're one fan. I think that's what it is, Nick.
Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Dad.
There we go. Papa Cataldi. That works. All right, taking a quick look. Got some Facebook feedback here. John just chiming in like crazy here regarding AJ's fainting or collapsing due to dehydration. He's saying it's not like she fainted due to the sheer competition from one of those twins. She fainted due to dehydration, and the fans fainted due to sheer boredom. It's possible. I mean, they haven't exactly put a lot of effort into the Divas division, and that includes AJ. I can see how she'd be a little bit frustrated. All right, got time for some news and notes here before we make our way out for high school football action. Drew McIntyre, you might have noticed he's a little banged up as part of the European tour. He posted a photo on Twitter of a nasty bruise on his right arm. He said, a little bruise isn't going to stop my father and I throwing some weights around and SmackDown getting rocked hard, he wrote on Twitter. He still ended up working a match on SmackDown as part of 3MB as they became the Union Jacks while overseas. I guess, I don't know why you're making bad guys or people you're supposed to boo be cheered by wearing that particular country's colors. I don't know. Never made sense to me. Also, I mentioned earlier the King, his deceased rival from 30 years ago, still alive? Possibly. Comedian turned pro wrestling personality Andy Kaufman is alive, according to claims made by his brother Michael Kaufman at the Andy Kaufman Awards in New York City.
How come people that, like celebrities, when they die, they're always alive? Bruce Lee, JFK, Elvis, you know. What was that one out there that Snoop Dogg or something? Not Snoop Dogg, but
Tupac?
Tupac. Well, another one was alive. And
that is as much rap knowledge as I'm going to be able to bring.
No, the point I'm making is whenever a celebrity dies, people question it. If you and I drop dead, no one would say, gee, I think Nick and Fearon are both alive in sanitariums or something like that, or on islands, you know.
Would you rather it be the other way, where you're alive and people keep assuming you're dead, like Abe Vigoda?
I wouldn't care. I don't care.
These are the questions that need to be asked. I'm just asking them. That's what I do.
My career died years ago. What difference does it make? You know?
That explains a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, the Andy Kaufman Awards in New York City, Michael introduced a young woman who claimed to be the comedian's daughter, who said her alleged father staged his death to get out of the spotlight. CNN reached out to WWE Hall of Famer Jerry Lawler for his thoughts, and here's what Lawler had to say. I would like nothing better than to know that Andy was still alive and has been with us all this time. But like anybody else, I really don't know any more than what I've heard. It could be a great hoax in his honor, dreamed up by his friend Bob Zamuda and his brother Michael. That would be something that would be keeping in Andy's tradition, but who's to say it could really be legit. Yeah. Way to keep that kayfabe, Jerry.
I saw Elvis the other day, too, you know.
If Kaufman were alive, he'd be 64 years old today. Based on his intergender champion rivalry with Jerry Lawler from back in the early 80s, including that classic moment on NBC's Late Night with David Letterman. I don't know, you think WWE inducts Kaufman in the Hall of Fame eventually?
Paul McCartney's dead, too.
I heard that rumor as well. I don't know. Putting him in is probably more likely than Chris Benoit's entry.
Do you realize there are people that, if someone had tried to pull that off, would find these people and, you know, they would thrive on it. If they felt for a second that Andy Kaufman was really alive, you know. his brother would be saying, he's alive somewhere. Yup. You're a dope. You'll believe that one. You'll choose.
Yeah, him and Bob Zamuda laughing all their way to the bank, right?
Exactly. People have family and friends, and what are you going to do? Live like Howard Hughes? Just hide?
I don't know. Some people prefer that.
But no one ever claimed Howard Hughes was dead until he actually died.
I guess. I don't know.
Anyway.
But speaking of Benoit, I'm sure those of you who have been following the Facebook fan page, man, things got rather heated over the course of Sunday and Monday after loyal listener Dan from Chicago, he asked a question on Twitter to JR and got a lot more backlash than he was certainly anticipating. He had asked Jim Ross how come Benoit was not in the recently released WWE 2K14 game. And to JR's credit, he actually responded to the tweet, but with a simple response of "really?" with a couple of question marks. And that led to his Twitter being blown up. And then he put a post on the Facebook fan page, which he has since removed. And there was an argument back and forth. I can see both sides of it. If you're looking at the history of WrestleMania and the 30 years of WrestleMania, the storyline mode, Benoit winning the World Championship to close out WrestleMania 20 in 2004 was a huge moment. Him and Eddie Guerrero hugging, the confetti falling. I get all that. Unfortunately, WWE feels that the final moments of Benoit's life and his actions that he took in those final moments kind of trump whatever accomplishments he made in the ring as a WWE performer. So that's why they've made the decision to make him, persona non grata ever since that incident back in June of 2007. Sorry, you look like you were going to say something, Nick.
No,
so I was
sorry.
Okay.
I'm not listening to you.
And the other argument that was thrown out was, well, he's been featured in DVDs recently, but they were all WCW DVDs. In Vince's warped, twisted mind, the actions or Benoit's career before WWE, sure, put that out there because it doesn't really matter, but Vince McMahon feels it would be tainting, I guess, WWE's image by showcasing anything that Benoit did during his WWE career from January of 2000 until his death in June of 2007. And because 2004 falls into that, that's why Benoit is not in the game. Best way to get over that, either call, write, or email WWE as well as 2K Sports, or they've got a pretty good create a wrestler feature. Maybe you can create him yourself. It's a thought. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. That's what I do. All right, we're going to head over to high school football playoff action, but I've got one more country theme for you. I'm sure you remember this one. The good old WWF country music star himself, JEFF JARRET. Ain't he great? That's Double J, Jeff Jarrett.